We're here at the DMEXCO exhibition and conference here in the German city of Cologne. And it's not only all the technology companies in the world, the telcos are here too, and their supporters. And joining me now, standing right next to me in fact, is Sara Vincent. You're the UK Managing Director of UTIQ, which is a telco-owned ad tech, so they're also in the house. Sara, well, first of all, welcome to DMEXCO. Consent and data privacy, a massive topic in the world and here right now, probably being spoken about on all the sidelines and the main stages. Protecting the privacy of the world's online community is a huge issue. It's me, it's you, it's everyone. How is UTIQ sort of building its presence in that space?
Great, thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, I mean, it is a huge topic, as you say. I don't think that any new technology or any really thought now about the future of ad tech should not take into consideration privacy and consent. From UTIQ's perspective, our whole ethos is built on consent first, and it's respecting users' consent and making sure it's freely given and transparent to bring back some trust to the ecosystem.
Just want to interrupt there. You said that consent is freely given, but don't we all just reject when we're online on these websites instead of accepting the conditions and privacy, we reject them?
So hopefully we don't reject, because what we want to change is an understanding from the user that there is a value exchange. The content they want to consume is not free to create, and so that needs to be ad supported. So we hope that more users will start to consent. The reason they don't is because there has been an absolute erosion of trust over the last few years. We've done a bad job in the industry of really trying to either share that value exchange or also protecting the user and respecting privacy in their data. So we need to change that. We are already, the industry's making moves towards it, but it has to be, as I said, the forefront of everyone's mind now, that we start with the user, we get consent, we give them the ability to revoke that consent or manage it as they wish, so they're in control. And then we're able to build up the trust, we respect the privacy, and then we have a better ecosystem where we get more users accepting because they are willing to, and they understand you need advertising to support the content, but that's how the process starts.
Okay, no, I said you were telco-owned. How easy is that, and how on board are they? Because, of course, different companies might be pulling in different directions. Are they all willing and going in the same direction as UTIQ's tried to pull them?
Yes, so yes they are. I mean, UTIQ is quite unique. I think it's the largest collaboration we've seen to date of telcos who have, they're fierce competitors in their day jobs, and this is, UTIQ for them is an initiative. It really comes from their innovation teams within the telcos, where they're looking for, of course, it's additional revenue stream, but it's also how can the application of the telco technology be applied to another industry to better that industry. So our 4 shareholders are very committed. We've had some amazing footage provided by the global CEOs of those 4 companies, Vodafone, Telefonica, Deutsche Telekom and Orange, showing their commitment to telco, to UTIQ, and so we're very excited about that commitment.
Okay, let's talk about Consent Pass. So this is your consent service product. How is that being taken up, and what kind of new developments can we expect coming down the pipeline?
So the Consent Pass is essentially the unique identifier that we're creating. And the adoption is growing. We are live in Germany, France and Spain, launching in the UK and Italy by the end of this year. So our global footprint will be European top 5, and then we'll expand from there. But what we've seen really, it takes a few months to kind of get going in each market, which is understandable. And then we are seeing the rate of the consent passes grow quite considerably once users get used to seeing our request when they go to websites and opting in. And so I think as of today, we have about 20% of the population of those 3 markets we're live in actually accepted UTIQ consent, and we have a consent pass for them. And just to clarify, our consent pass relates to a real human being, because we don't create an ID if there is no person behind it. And so it's already got quite significant scale, which is interesting for the agencies and the brands we're now talking to, who can see just where this is going.
Well, those agencies and those brands, it's a very good point, actually. How aware are they of the fact that almost every human being in the world, not every human being, but many human beings in the world have mobile phones now? The telcos are almost perfectly placed to stand next to us in supporting what we do and how we do it and how our privacy is managed. Is that message really across a lot of the other technology companies in the world that, you think of the phone makers, the Apples and the Androids, the Google Androids and Samsungs and such? Or is there still work to do to bring all these people on board that telcos are actually number one placed?
I think the unique offering that telcos have and the position they're in is that you're right. They address like 95% of a population in any market, and that's really how UTIQ works, because we leverage that technology to be able to identify and address those large portions of the population in a market, which is why it's really interesting for brands, because they have never had that at that scale and at that persistent ID, which is is solid and a foundation, and enables them to frankly market and run ad campaigns to real people. There is no bots within the ecosystem because we don't create the ID if we can't link it to a contract, which means it's a real person. But just like we don't use any telco data in what we're doing, it's purely leveraging the technology to bring it to life. And whilst we have our 4 shareholder telcos heading up the project, in each market we need to work with the local telcos in that market to bring the market coverage. So we have shareholder telcos and non-shareholder telcos. And really, in our live markets today, we have between sort of 6 and 8 telcos in each market, which is bringing that scale, showing that the model works, and that's what we'll do, and we'll replicate across the new markets we go live in.
And just finally, those other telcos, do they all share the same concerns and challenges, or are they quite different in each different market?
I think they understand it. There is obviously, for telcos, digital advertising is not their wheelhouse. But once we start to explain, first of all, who's on board. I mean, it has great weight that we work with the large telcos in Europe, and they're aware that the CEOs in these companies are leaning in, and so it really helps to have that on board, and it's obviously a good starter for the meetings. When you explain what the challenge is, I mean, I don't think anybody in the world hasn't heard about third-party cookie deprecation at some point. So they understand there is a challenge with the open market and addressability, and if we don't do something about it, what we'll see is all ad spend moving into the walled gardens and possibly like the deprecation of the open web, which is a bad place to be. We don't want to be there. We want to support independent publishing, and we do that with the generation of the ID. So once we kind of explain the story, they understand it.
And just very finally, we're here at DMEXCO. What are you hoping to get out of this 2-day event here in Cologne?
I know, it's so exciting to be back. It's beautiful sunshine as well today, which is great. So UTIQ is here. We've got about, I think, 5 or 6 of the team. We literally all spread out. It's like divide and conquer. We're meeting with our existing partners, new publishers, new telcos. We're also looking at potentially expanding into other markets, and so there's conversations like that happening, and of course some great press interviews as well. So we're very busy.
Sarah, thanks very much.
Sorry about grabbing the mic.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, she's a grabber. She's a grabber.